Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nonstop Steph, and today I think it's time that we talk about what actually happened throughout free agency. It's technically not over, but yeah, it's pretty much over. So I'm going to try not to take too long on any individual team. There's a couple of these teams who I think deserve a video of their own, but I think it's suiting to just start with LA. I think that was the biggest question that we had coming into free agency is how they were going to, whether or not they were going to actually keep Rui and D'Angelo Russell, all the talks about going after, Kyrie Irving and all that stuff. And I think that they did great. Honestly, I think that they, out of everybody's free agency, they probably had the best free agency. Just being able to bring back everybody who they really wanted to keep. Got rid of a couple others. Bringing back Austin Reeves, in my opinion, was, and I'm not just my opinion, everybody's opinion, was probably the most important thing they can do so far, and that they did. So I think that's big for them. We'll move on to the other team in LA. Let's hit the Clippers. I think that Russ signing that contract extension for only $8 million. I think that's a very very team friendly deal. I understand that the market might not have been hot for him, but he's still very serviceable. His performances during the playoffs just once again remind us, how good he actually can be, and considering the consistency and the fact that that you're going to actually get him to play games. The fit with this Clippers team, in my opinion, is great with Russ rather than without him. So I'm glad to see him coming back. Speaking of coming back, I think the Milwaukee Bucks did a great job keeping Middleton and also Brook Lopez. I do think it's a little bit of an overpay for both, but I think that it's worth it because I've kind of talked about it in the past, but Giannis has not been very yes, I'm going to stay here forever. When talking about the Bucks, so I think that these signings only help keep Giannis happy in the long run, and I don't think that that organization wants to even entertain the idea of Giannis ever not being here. So, good move in keeping those two. I do think that they still maybe need to make one more move of some sort, whether it's a trade or something, because although it's hard, I will never count this Bucks team out as long as they have Giannis. So I'm not going to say that I don't see them being successful. It's just that the gap that they used to have on other teams is definitely a lot more narrow. So, if they made another move of some sort, who, can't tell you who, but if they did make another move of some sort, I think it would be beneficial in the long run just to kind of widen that gap that they have on, the majority of the East. I guess it's time to hit the Suns. After the Beal trade, we all were wondering how they would do and, rounding out this roster. And I'll say they did a decent job. I mean, it's not great. I think Eric Gordon is probably the best deal that they made because he's been in the league for a long time, and he's someone who's gonna. I mean, they don't need help spacing the floor with the guys that they have, but they are going to be able to space the floor even better because Gordon will pull that 30-footer. You know what I mean? So obviously they've got other guys there too, but none that I really feel like move the needle that well. I mean, Eubanks might be good for backing up Ayton here or there, but again, nothing crazy. I do hope that they keep Ayton. As of right now, I like the fit. I like the team that they do have. Their starting five is probably one of the best starting fives in the league. And I think that Devin Booker can certainly handle, point guard duty at this point because they didn't really make a signing of a true point guard. So I'm confident. I feel good about what they've got there, on the team. It's really just it's going to be a struggle, I believe, for them because, of course, the health concerns. I hope that they can use this bench well enough to spell for these guys and make sure they get adequate rest, and they're not working and playing 42 minutes a game all the way up until the playoffs, because it's not the strongest bench, but hopefully it's enough to just get them there. um, the big one, of course, is Trailblazers. Dame Lillard finally requesting that trade. I think that's a good move. I think it's a good move for him to finally say, hey, this is it. I'm ready to go ahead and peace out. I wish I'm not as big of a hater on the Jeremy Grant contract. I think that it's a little bit more than he probably deserved, if we're being honest. But I think that was all in good faith to show Damian Lillard, hey, we're gunning for this, because Jeremy Grant is a good player. If you watch any level of sports content, don't let someone tell you that Jeremy Grant is a bad player, or it's a little bit of an overpay, especially when you consider the other guys at similar positions. But I don't think that the other guys at similar positions are as good as Jeremy Grant. Like we can talk about the Wizards with Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma got less than Jeremy Grant, but even then, I'll take Jeremy Grant before I'll take Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma might give you more of that flashy stuff that's going to hit the media, social media better. But Grant, in my opinion, is still the better player. Not just, offensively, they might be, considerably close. But on the defensive side, it's not that close. Jeremy Grant is a great defender, a great help defender, and I think that even if they don't keep him for the long run, which I think that they should, but if they decided not to, in my opinion, that's still a very tradable contract. You got him for 5. You won't be trading him this year probably, but there's going to be someone who's like, man, we need a good wing. We need a good stretch 4, a great 3, whatever you want to call him. And he might be on the market down the road because, yeah, he's good, man. He's good. Anyways, when it comes to the Mavericks, getting to keep Kyrie Irving, I thought that was very, very big for them because, I've already made the video about, why I'm pretty sure they're going to lose, Luka in the long run. And them keeping Kyrie is the first step in keeping Luka. Now, I don't know that their team is at a position to be competitive. In my opinion, they're not. So hopefully this is not the last move. I think that also with time, they're only going to get better. Luka learning how to play off Kyrie and vice versa. I think that's going to obviously give him, a better chance. This team is really good behind those two. They're just not, in my opinion, the top teams in the West. So hopefully they can keep on doing something more there. A couple of the other teams, I'll just, spitball real quick. I mean, obviously the Warriors re-signing Draymond Green, and that's big for them. Obviously that was right after trading Jordan Poole to the Wizards. So the Wizards are going to probably be actually very fun to watch if we're being honest, but no one's watching Wizards basketball really like that. But the Rockets, obviously with the Fred VanVleet and, Dillon Brooks, all right, I'll do my little spiel on just Dillon Brooks real quick. So I don't think that he's as bad nearly as everybody makes him out to be. Now, he's not as good as he probably thinks he is, or as many others might, but he's not that bad. He is an all defensive player. Like, this is not a player who is just kind of hanging around. He did have a bad offensive performance this past year. But that's not to say that, I think a lot of it just came down to the pressure. And I think he was doing it to himself, obviously. And the cons are there. We know what he brings in terms of, the culture that maybe he might have been bringing around Ja and all that. Who knows? Whatever you want to say there. None of us are really there. But we do get to hear what he says in those sound bites. And, in those moments, he's not saying the smartest stuff. But again, he's not that bad. He doesn't deserve to be out of the NBA. So I'm happy he's there. It's probably an overpay. Obviously, the Rockets had more money to throw than pretty much anybody. And, we've talked about it in the past, again, the salary floor. They've got to pay a certain amount of money out anyways. They got to get to the floor. Otherwise, there's penalties. So not only is there a salary cap, but there's also a floor. We got to make it to this minimum dollars amount of spend. And I look at what they did with Dillon Brooks as part of that. The Kings re-signing, or I should say, re-upping Sabonis and re-signing Harrison Barnes. I didn't know if they would keep Harrison Barnes. I'll be honest, although I don't think they would have been able to do it at the same Jeremy Grant money, I really, really was hoping to see them pick up Jeremy Grant. I think Jeremy Grant could do a lot more for the Kings team than Harrison Barnes can at this point. But again, the money difference, it's apparent. So, it is what it is. A couple max deals, to no surprise, the Timberwolves maxing out Anthony Edwards. That is expected. I am actually a little bit disappointed it took as long as it did in the free agency to get to that max out. When it comes to the Pacers maxing out Halliburton, again, kind of could have seen that coming. I'll give my spiel on maxing out players also real quick. A lot of people might hear Halliburton as a max player and be like, well, he's not max player worthy. Again, he's not max player worthy when you compare him to some of the other max players, but to that franchise, he's max player worthy. They would rather pay him as much money as they possibly can than to let him even explore the idea of going somewhere else, because for that franchise, he is max player worthy. All right. So just get that out there. Grizzlies maxing out Bane, whatever. I'm not big on that one. I don't think that one was really deserving of a max. Especially considering what they have with Ja, what they're gonna have with Triple J. There's a couple other things there that I don't think that Bane should have been maxed out, but I can't really go through my whole spiel about max players like I did with Halliburton, and then say Bane doesn't deserve a max. To me, he doesn't, but that's whatever. Not gonna won't spend too much time there, right? um, the Knicks, in my opinion, deserve a video of their own. I mean, I won't go into it, but I think they also had a very good offseason so far. Not to say that they got that much better, but the Knicks team is really, really deep, and they've got, with after signing DiVincenzo and just they're really deep. They've got a lot of options on that team, very much tradable players. I think that they're and we say this every year about the Knicks, right? They're preparing for something big. Again, I'm going to say that again. I think they're preparing for something big. They've got space now, and like I said, very tradable contracts where if things don't pan out, just about any one of these players are tradable on this team. Like they can move almost everybody, and almost everybody is attractive to somebody. So they've got a good team. So the Knicks, like I said, could deserve a video all on their own on all of the options that they might have. So just be on the lookout for what the Knicks might do right there. The Heat lost a lot, in my opinion. They lost a lot of players. I'm not as worried about that. I mean, again, we know why they lost. I was talking about it with my guy Chris, and I was telling him that, they were preparing for something big, obviously, clearly the Damian Lillard stuff. They freed up some space. They didn't, re-sign other players anyways, right? So the point being, though, is they were preparing for the Damian Lillard. Obviously, they may not have the best offer to put out there, but we'll see what happens, right? So hopefully they do. The biggest, signing that did not happen, in my opinion, is still the Celtics with Jaylen Brown. I've not seen that happened. I've been following it, trying my hardest to see if it happened, and still to this day, at this time of the recording, they have not done that max extension with Jaylen Brown. So I really... Yeah, it's a red flag in my opinion. Get that deal done. Get that deal done as soon as possible. The 76ers signing Patrick Beverley is whatever. I mean, we understand the reasons why, bring some extra toughness. We know what Patrick Beverley brings to any team, period, at this point. So I'm not going to go on that one. Just know that, again, it makes sense. We know why he's there. But I guess that's really it. All the teams that I really wanted to talk about, in my opinion. If there's anything that I missed, of course, put it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think is, the largest signing. In my opinion, the largest signing out of all of this, man, I can't even pick one. I still would have to go with something that has to do with Austin Reeves, in my opinion. That's just such a good signing because of the contract that they brought him back on. And I was just so impressed with what he did this past season. I mean, especially on the tail end, obviously. Watching him in the playoffs, watching him hit the shots that he's hitting, and I don't just mean, the open three or anything, but just, the drive. Man, this guy's going to be something good, and I think that the contract that they brought him back on is just great for them. So I'm really looking forward to see what the Lakers actually are able to do with him. But anyways, like I said, comment, like, subscribe. Appreciate you guys for watching. See ya.